Hey there. Hey, welcome to another amazing training experience on Between the Reps. My name is Carissa Atkins, and I'm the CEO and founder of 365 Daily Hustle. My company is a global health, lifestyle, and mindset coaching company, and I am the #1 mindset and health expert helping women such as CEOs, coaches, consultants, and of course, lady bosses boss up their bodies, their mindsets, and of course, create financial freedom. I help these purpose-driven women 10x their habits, routines, and mindsets so that they can boss up, show up, and thrive in their life. So, what is Between the Reps? Well, it's your journey to a healthier, happier, more fulfilling life. It starts right here. Each week on Between the Reps, you are going to hear insights, tips, and strategies from me about mindset, confidence, fitness, nutrition, productivity, business, and balancing out this crazy thing called life. Between the Reps is your dose of motivation, inspiration, and real, no bullshit talk to help you go from blah to badass so that you can live your most epic life ever. Now, today, I'm going to be talking about how to reprogram your mindset to go from having a negative outlook on life to more of a positive way of thinking. If you find today's content and training very useful, helpful, or just straight up brilliant, please share this episode with all of your friends, invite someone to watch it, or just simply copy and paste it and send it off to, someone that you know that needs to hear it. So, yeah, right. Let's just begin. Let's dive right into it. And like I said above, today I'm going to talk about shifting and reprogramming your shitty negative thinking patterns and why it is so incredibly important. Now, of course, as we go, feel free to drop any comments, questions, or, tidbits in the chat below. I am more than happy to kind of take on some of those questions that you may have, or just, any thoughts around the topic, on mindset and reprogramming our brains for ultimate success. Feel free to drop them down below. And I will, of course, create a new live and answer, or just give you my thoughts on what you put down below. So let's get into it. Almost everyone has negative thoughts. In fact, science reveals that 94% of humans have negative thoughts. Okay. And negative thoughts are nasty, and they can do some serious damage to you living your best life. Humans have a negativity bias or tendency to pay more attention to the negative than the positive events or the thoughts, right? So what can we do about all these negative thoughts? Well, that's easy. We can reprogram our mindset so that we can boss up to the next level of greatness. Now, the process it's simple, right? The how is simple, but the doing is a bit more complicated, but totally doable. So let me ask you this, and I need you to be totally honest with yourself. Have you ever caught yourself making excuses for why you didn't get to the gym on time, or cook that healthy meal, or even add that massage to your calendar? Have you ever caught yourself making excuses for why you didn't get to work on time, or why you didn't ask your boss for that raise? Yeah, we've all been there. We've all allowed the excuses, or what I like to call the itty bitty shitty committee, to get the best version of us. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson said, it's like I follow him, I quote him, I use him, I use him as just a form of motivation in my life. And one of my favorite quotes that he said, if you really want to do something, you will find a way. If not, you will find excuses. Crazier stat than the one I gave you above is, did you know that 99% of failures come from people who have the habit of making excuses and negative thoughts? Believe it or not, there was a time in my life where all I focused on was what wasn't working, right? I would blame everyone and everything for the shitty life that I had. I would make excuses galore for all of my shortcomings, because playing the victim was way easier than actually taking responsibility for my life. So in 2011, I was broke, fat, depressed, unhealthy, lacking confidence and self-love. I hated the reflection in the mirror and the relationship that I had with food, exercise, booze, sex, money, and motivation, it was shit. It was so freaking terrible, right? In 2015, right, a couple of years later, I had lost a bunch of weight, but I was still chasing, like this sense of happiness. I was using the scale as a form of measurement of happiness. It wasn't until I decided to start working on my mindset that truly changed my life. What did I do? I decided to invest in a coach. And not only a coach, but I also had a mentor. Now, I realized that I needed a coach because I needed help creating and shifting the negative thought patterns that were keeping me stuck. They were keeping me focusing still on what wasn't working versus what was working. I mean, oh my God, I had just lost close to 100 pounds of fat off my body and I still wasn't happy. I had grown and started a whole business, right? Before my corporate job, I was also an entrepreneur. I owned my own tuxedo suit and cigar shop. Yes, you heard that right. Cigar shop. How many health coaches do you know that smoke cigars? Just keeping it real. But yeah, I had created a successful business. I happened to sell that business for a beautiful profit when I moved over into the corporate world. And yet I was still not happy. It wasn't until I discovered that it was my way of thinking that was causing me to believe that I wasn't enough, that I wasn't worthy, that I wasn't ever going to be able to achieve great things. It kept me playing so incredibly fucking small. That's when I decided to work with a coach. Okay. This was a huge game changer for me because when it came to my health, my confidence, my finances, my business, I needed to reprogram my way of thinking. My body was in alignment with what I wanted to look like, but my mind and the shitty thinking was still in full effect. Okay. So we all have that little voice inside of us. And if you're like me, you have several voices. And sometimes that voice isn't very empowering or uplifting. And sometimes it's so incredibly negative. And it can be very detrimental to us living happy, healthy, and successful lives. Here are 2 reasons why we need to go from negative thinking to positive thinking. Number 1, and if you don't know this already, anytime you guys that go live, I'm always going to give you no bullshit strategies to help you boss up to the next level of awesomeness. So grab your pen and paper and let's get straight to it. So number 1 is negative thoughts are more powerful than positive ones. Okay. Simply seeing negative words can trigger the release of cortisol and other stress producing neurochemicals, which over time can impair the immune system. Negative thoughts trigger our fight or flight response, which is obviously a necessary psychological process for survival. So the body is programmed to react more immediately and most robustly to that thought, right? That negative thought. Where if someone says, oh, you look nice today, right? We then tend to think, oh, this whole thing, right? Like we always tend to go to the negative. Positive thoughts don't threaten our very existence. So our body and brain don't react to it like it would a negative thought. Therefore, we need several more positive thoughts to replace a single negative thought. So reason why number 2, that our thoughts are so important and how we need to go from negative to, positive way of thinking is that negative thoughts are self-fulfilling prophecies. When you allow your negative thoughts to dominate your positive thoughts, you develop unhealthy mental patterns that lead to low self-esteem and psychological problems such as anxiety, addictions, and phobias. What you focus on expands. And I know you've heard that. Okay. So if you just kind of think about, damn, what do I really focus on? And that I guarantee if you took a moment to really think about all the different things that you focus in on, you would probably be like, oh, well, it's no wonder, right? I am self-fulfilling this prophecy of what I believe. Okay. Your thoughts become your beliefs become your thoughts, and all of that becomes your habits, your behaviors, and that's how you live your life. Okay. You're either like, always focusing on the negative and seeing negative, or you're always then focusing on the positive. And you know what? The cool thing about focusing on the positive, y'all, is that I don't even fucking see the negative. Okay. Like, do negative things happen to me? Sure. I'm a human being. I have kids. I have a husband. I have dogs that, get sick. Like, I am just like anyone else, but I have trained my brain to only see positives. So when something negative happens, guess what? I'm like, yeah, that can piss me off. Or I could focus on a positive. I could find the lesson. I could find the wisdom. Or I could just simply shift out of that negative frequency altogether. So I want to go back to what you focus on expands. Okay. When women focus, let me just give you an example. And I tell this to my health clients all the time, because those of you who know me, I work with women's health and wellness, right? Mental health, physical health, emotional health, and physical health. And I love working with entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, because I am one. And I know that in order for me to become financially free, I have to be healthy in all areas of life. So I actually have coaching programs that focus A, just on health, and B, health and business, because I'm really freaking brilliant at both. Okay. So when I talk to, let me just give you the example of when I talk to my health clients, I ask them, what are you focusing in on? And they're like, well, I'm focusing on fat loss. I'm like, oh, okay. So you're focusing in on fat. And they're like, yeah. Every morning I wake up and I'm like, oh, I just start comparing and judging my own body. And I focus in on what I don't want. And I'm like, we need to swap that, right? So if you're focusing on fat, you get more fat. When you focus on muscle, you end up melting fat, becoming stronger, becoming fit, and of course, sexy and toned, right? So if you focus on the negative thoughts, your unconscious mind will create failure instead of success and happiness. If you focus on, let me give you an example about money. If you focus in on how much money you don't have, you will always find yourself feeling broke, unsecure with your finances, spending more money that you're bringing in. Like, you will always be coming this like prophecy of, I'm always broke. Guess what? Your job, your mind's job, your unconscious mind's job is to make sure that you're right. So if you focus on, oh, I'm so broke and I don't have any money and I can't invest in a coach and right? All of that shitty excuse making for why you're not playing bigger, that's exactly what you get. It's kind of like that's the game you play. My son, when he was little, and my daughter, when they were little, right, we would always play sorry as a family. And he would always say, I don't want to play sorry because Sarah always wins. I never win. He focused in on what he always, like, all the negative, right? Where Sarah was like, oh, I'm going to win. I'm always going to win. She always freaking won. Was this stressful? Was this not stressful? Was this upsetting to me too? Of course. I'm competitive. Duh. Right? But it just shows, it proves a fact. So I want you to ask yourself, what the hell are you focusing in on that you want to not be focusing in on? Okay. So the more negative thoughts you have, the more you will continue to have that negative life. It goes back to the, like that famous neuroscience cliche, neurons that fire together, wire together. All right. So what can you do about it? Well, here are some just a few no bullshit strategies to help you boss up and get rid of those negative thoughts, especially when it becomes habitual. Okay. So here we go. Here's the how, because everyone wants to know the how. Carissa, I know I'm negative and I know I have negative thoughts, but how can I start to shift them? Okay. Again, these are easy. This is no bullshit. You probably already know it. However, it's in the consistency, it's in the execution, it's in the daily action steps that's actually going to get you out of it. So yes, you're going to need to put your big girl panties on and boss up and do the damn thing every single day until it becomes a habit. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, number one, notice your thoughts. As is always the case, you can't make any changes unless you're first identifying the issue. That's like the golden rule in coaching, right? It's like awareness is key. We can't change something that we don't even fucking know what's going on, right? It's like marketing. And, back when I was in the marketing position, the boss would always say, hey, why aren't we bringing X, or why didn't we hit the goals? And I'm like, well, I'm new here and I have no idea what you were doing. And so first I have to get a good grasp on what we were doing as a company prior to when I came here so that I can even change it. I have no idea, right? So you have to first become aware. All transformation starts at the awareness level. So when it comes to your thoughts, I want you to just become aware of all the shitty itty bitty thinking. Okay. So you don't have to do this for like ever. You can just commit to one day, carry around a little notebook. And every time you hear something negative come inside of your little brain, I want you to stop what you're doing and write it down. Okay. Don't judge them. Don't be like hard on yourself. Don't start the negative cycle of like, oh, woe is me. I'm never going to get out of this. No, just simply write it down so that you can be aware of them. Okay. Awareness is key. Number one, notice your freaking thoughts. Okay. Number two, neutralize the negative thoughts. So I'm going to ask you to turn your negative thoughts into neutral facts. So instead of thinking, this is the old Carissa, I'm not good enough to do X, Y, and Z because I just don't believe in myself. Okay. Old Carissa. Thank God that's not me anymore. I'm a freaking cheerleader for myself. Like I love being positive. Okay. But that was the old me, right? 12 years ago, I was blaming everyone. I'm like, oh, I can't get healthy because I don't have any money. Oh, I can't like love myself because don't have any money to hire a coach. I can't get better at this because I don't have any time. All of these are excuses. And in my opinion, negative thought patterns. Okay. And it's not your fault, right? These are literally hardcore beliefs that have been programmed in your mindset since pretty much birth, which is why I'm so freaking passionate on helping women reprogram their mindsets so that they can push past the bullshit, so they can push past the fear and step into greatness. I knew what it was like to have the itty bitty shitty committee live inside of my head every single day. God, I was like the negative vampire. Every time somebody would ask, how's it going, Carissa? I'd be like, oh, it could be better. Oh my God, my life sucks, right? That was easy. But all it took was a few years to really practice and hone in and tweak and create this new programming. And boom, right? Now thinking positively is easy. It's totally doable. So going back to number two, neutralizing the negative thought. You can turn your negative thoughts into neutral facts. So again, instead of the I'm not good enough statement that so many of us women say, I need you to say instead a positive affirmation. So instead of I'm not good enough, you could think, I am great at A, B, and C, and I will continue to work on D and E. Or back in the day when I was like a struggling coach, barely making minimum wage, like barely, y'all. Back in 2019, I made $10,000 as a coach, and now I'm crushing like 70K months, which is awesome. But anyways, the old thinking used to say, I'm not smart enough, or I'm not a good enough entrepreneur to even make that kind of money. Or a negative thought was, who am I to make that kind of money? Or another one that I used to believe was making money is so hard. I have to hustle to make money, right? So instead, I create a very powerful affirmation. And instead, it's I am a sexy, worthy, and confident queen who is stepping up in her life or something like that, right? This was a long time ago. Now my affirmation is like totally badass and I repeat it to myself every single day. So yes, there are times when that little voice creeps up, but trust me, I like bury it back down into the ground by giving myself some facts. So Carissa, you are a phenomenal coach and you're only getting better. Hello, that feels so much more empowering, doesn't it? All right. Number 3, develop an attitude of gratitude. And I know you hear this every freaking time, right? And every bookstore you go into, you find a little like Bible or journal that's like, develop an attitude of gratitude. And, you know, that to me doesn't work for me. Like a little book beside my bed doesn't work for me. But something else does. I'm not saying that it doesn't work for everyone. A lot of my clients have a little cute little book and they literally wake up with their gratitudes, or they go to bed like, what am I grateful for today? Like that's great, but that's very surface level. So as the number one mindset coach, that is surface level mindset shifting. Okay. Like, oh, I'm just going to read an affirmation and I'm going to, list out my gratitude practices for the day. But I know that like if I want to change my mindset quickly, I've got to reprogram it ASAP. And that's the beautiful part about what I do with my ladies is the fact that we can go in there and in a matter of 2 days, that can completely reprogram and allow them to let go of their old limiting beliefs that were keeping them stuck. And they're now like charging like full force. Okay. Full force. It's so beautiful. Okay. So sorry, I could totally have a whole conversation about that. But anyways, developing an attitude of gratitude is really focusing in on the positive aspects of your life. Okay. And especially the positive thoughts that occupy your brain. So there's not a lot of room for negative thoughts if you're constantly pouring in positive thinking, right? Positive stuff, positive affirmations. So yes, that is great. But what I did that for many, many years. But what I have been doing over the last 3 years that have been huge game changers for me is I have bossed up the whole attitude of gratitude for like as a practice. Right? Because I'm always like, how can we boss this up? And boss up just means like, like make it better. Okay. Courageous action to make something better. So how can you develop a solid attitude of gratitude besides just listing out 10 things you're grateful for that day? It comes down to 3 things from me. Okay. This is what I personally do. Number 1 is every day I take time to focus in on what is going well in my life. I call this collecting all the hell yes wins. I have a spot right on my board, like ask anyone who knows me. It's like right over there. I have a spot on my focus and alignment board that every single week, every day, I get up at the end of the day and I write down something that I'm so incredibly excited about. Like it's a hell yes win. You know what I mean? It's my end of day ritual. So around 4:30 and I'm getting ready to I'm shutting off computers. I'm like tightening up my space. I'm, putting my pens back in the pen drawer. And one of the very last things that I do is I go over to my board and I think, what do I need to celebrate today? Like, what is a freaking hell yes win? And sometimes, y'all, it's not a new client. It's not another 20K. It's not whatever. Sometimes it's just like, hey, I didn't spill my coffee on my shirt walking up the stairs. Or, hey, my dog didn't bark. Well, one of these lives, right? It doesn't matter what your win is. I could go out in public and someone would be like, oh, girl, I love your shoes. I'm like, you know what? Thank you. It could be a simple email that I get from women all the time that are like, girl, you inspire me. Thank you, right? That stuff is that is like a payday for me. It's not just about the money. It's about the impact for me. And you all know that this year I'm on a mission to help 1 million women boss up their bodies, boss up their mindsets, and boss up their financial freedom. Okay. So anything can be a hell yes win. There's no right or wrong here. As long as it makes you feel good, it goes on the board. Okay. So this is always getting my brain to think, where's a win? Where's a win? Where's a win? So I'm always looking for a positive. See how that feels? Okay. So I'm always looking for a positive. When I get it, I write it on the board. Okay. Boom. Awareness. Number 2, celebrate and share. So every night when I'm done and I go home and I cook dinner, or lately my husband's been cooking like all the dinners. It's phenomenal because he has this new hobby called cooking and I have to totally give him this power and give up the kitchen. But I do love it because he's expanding, I'm expanding, and the meals are fantastic. So half the time I get off of work and he's already got stuff cooking. And number 2 really is all about celebrating and sharing those wins. So every night at dinner, at the dinner table, we all go around and we talk about our hell yes wins for the day. And we really get into the nitty gritty, the details. We don't just talk about what it is. So I could say, oh, I had an amazing retreat. Or I could say, oh my God, I just got back from this amazing retreat. There was 6 beautiful women. They all experienced breakthroughs. We cried together. We laughed together. We worked out together. You know what I mean? I'm getting into the details. And when we get into the details, it gets us into the feeling, the emotion. And that is fucking gold. Okay. So really don't just celebrate it. Don't just put it on a board and be like, cool, I did this. Take it a step further. Boss it up. Tell someone what you did and how it makes you feel. Okay. Number 3. All right. Last one, end of the month celebrations. So at the end of the month, as you can imagine, if I'm thinking of 1, 2, 3 or different things that I can do or that I've done, sorry, let me repeat that. If every single day I'm finding 2 or 3 hell yes wins and I'm adding them to the board, you can imagine by the end of the month, my board is full of stuff. So at the end of the month, I sit back and I reflect. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so amazing, right? In the most humble way. But I'm telling you this because, ladies, we don't sit and celebrate our success. We tend to be like, cool, I reached a new level of awesomeness. Now what's next, right? We're always chasing the next big thing. And I'm right there with you. I have big goals and dreams too. But it's important to stop, to slow down and reflect on all the amazing stuff you have done. Okay. Focus on how it makes you feel to look at a board with 30 or 40 different things on it. That's like, man, I am doing good. I am amazing. Okay. And then the last part of this is to celebrate. Well, there's a few parts. So number 1 was reflect back every month. Number 2 is to focus in on how it makes you feel. Number 3 is to celebrate the wins. So what are you going to do to celebrate all these amazing wins? What are you going to do? Are you going to take yourself out for like the cutest date? Are you going to give yourself that massage? Are you going to, reward yourself with like a new pair of yoga pants? Like, what are you going to do to reward yourself for all of your awesomeness? That's important. So celebrate your wins. And number 4, personally, I love to share the news, not to brag, but to inspire others. Right? To focus in on the positive versus the negative. So every month I share, my wins, some of my biggest wins. I don't share them all, but I share, right, the financial wins. I share the relationship wins. I share the client wins. And oh my God, every month I can sit there and literally cry about all the transformation that is happening because I decided to say yes to myself many, many years ago. So you see, when you invest in yourself, your whole world can get blown up in such a good way. Okay. This practice, right? This attitude of gratitude times 10, because I'm a boss at Babe and I don't just do things half-ass. I like do it above and beyond. That's just who I am. This practice alone helps me rewire my way of thinking because I am constantly now looking and searching for the wins. All right, ladies, I hope you found today's video informative and fun. Please, please, please feel free to follow me, subscribe to my YouTube channel. We'll get into my newsletters every week. If you love this, just think about what you get in my actual newsletters. If you are looking to boss up, right? Boss up your body, boss up your mindset and reprogram so that you can bust through all of your limiting beliefs, all of your fears, and really get to the next level of fucking awesomeness, reach out to me, right? Book a call with me. I don't work with everyone. And I'll tell you if I don't think that we're going to be a good fit. I only work with women who are serious about changing their lives. I work with women who are serious about a transformation. If that's you, then let's do it, right? Hop on that call. Don't be afraid. Remember, it all started with me when I started investing in myself. So I hope you have a beautiful day, and I hope you enjoyed another amazing episode of Between the Reps. See you later.